Hey folks, it is Steve the drummer coming at you today, and it has been a minute since I've done anything like any videos like this. Approximately a year ago, give or take maybe a month, I bought a F-Note 5 drum set, and I played that drum set for a few months, and that was just before they announced the F-Note 7. And so then they announced the F-Note 7, and the F-Note 7 became available about a few months after that. And ultimately what I did was I bought an F-Note 7 drum set, and I traded in all of my Roland gear and all of my ATV gear, and I kept some of the F-Note 5 stuff and kind of hybrided that together into a F-Note 57 or 75 or whatever you want to call it. And so today, after having played the drum set for roughly a year, having worked with F-Note for roughly a year, I wanted to make two videos. The first one is going to be 5 things I hate about my F-Note drums, and the second one's going to be 5 things that I love about my F-Note drums. And and I've said this before. Typically, I buy something and I play it for a few minutes, and then I make a video about it, and so it doesn't really count. When you use something over a longer period of time, you get a chance to see the things that you really do like and the things that you really don't like. And so that's kind of my mission here, is to circle back after a year and just clarify the things that I think F-Note is winning with and the things that they're not. So I'm going to lead off here with the 5 things that I hate about my F-Note drums. And I can honestly say that most of this really boils down to workmanship on the product. And actually most of it boils down to the snare drum. The snare drum is the drum in your drum set that probably gets hit the most, and it takes the most wear and tear. And most of my concerns have come from workmanship issues with my snare drum. The first one, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the camera angled right here. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take some pictures of it and cut that in. But it boils down to this rim piece here that is used for triggering rim clicks. And the rim piece that I have on, this is the 14-inch snare drum that came with my F-Note 7. The rubber part that is the trigger, or I don't know, it's not the trigger, but it's what pads the blow when you hit the drum, has come unconnected from the actual mount itself. And like I say, I'll show some pictures that make this a little bit clearer, but it still triggers fine. There's not an issue with that. It just every once in a while I have to go and take this rubber piece and stick it back down in there, and then literally, like, after a minute of playing, it comes undone again. Like I said, it still triggers fine, but from a workmanship standpoint, on a drum set of this caliber, I wouldn't expect something like that to happen. Also related, and this is, I think that you guys are going to think that I'm really kind of digging deep here to find things that I hate. On any drum, when you hit it, especially the snare drum, it detunes as you hit it. And in particular, my snare drum is usually mounted here. And so when I'm playing, my left hand is coming down here. And so I'm hitting a lot of rim shots here. And so this lug right here tends to detune, and literally, you say, well, your lug's detuned, it's an electronic drum set, who cares? This lug will literally come, and actually the bottom one is really loose right now. I haven't tightened that one up. But this thing will literally detune within a song. It will come completely loose within a song. Once again, it's not a huge deal. It's an electronic drum set. It doesn't change the sound. It does maybe slightly change the playability of the surface. But for some reason, the lugs on this snare drum detune really, really rapidly. Sticking with the snare drum, and this is the 12-inch snare drum trigger that came with the F-Note 5 drum set. And I've alluded to this before, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention it again. So here's a better view of that rim click trigger that I was talking about on the 14-inch that the plastic is coming off, or the rubber's coming off. But on the 12-inch, there's a jack, or actually on both of them, there's a jack right here. Once again, I'll show pictures to try to make this clearer. And this is where you plug a separate cable in for your rim click trigger. And this jack on several occasions has come completely out. And so then I have to take this side mount off and take needle nose pliers and go in there and tighten up the jack. So 5 things I hate about my F-Note drum set. The first 3 revolve around the snare drum, and they would really be what I would call workmanship issues. You know, lugs detuning, maybe not such a big deal, but rubber on triggers coming off and jacks coming in seated and having to go in and basically do surgery on that on a semi-regular basis to put that back together is a little bit of a pain in the butt. 5 things I hate about my F-Note drums. Number 4 is this 5-pin cable connector for my hi-hats. And this is the hi-hat off of the F-Note 5. I've still got the F-Note 7 hi-hat set up, and I've got the F-Note 7 module there. But this 5-pin connector, and I'm reluctantly taking it apart, there should be a metal ring around this that was on there initially. And after a couple of taking it apart and putting it back together, taking it apart and putting it back together, that ring fell off, and that ring kind of served as a guide. These are the 5 holes, and once again, I'll show a better, clearer picture. These are the 5 holes that these 5 pins need to go in order to make your F-Note hi-hats trigger correctly. And actually, I was able to get that back together pretty quickly and easily. But there's been a lot of times as I have a little bit of senioritis. My eyesight is dwindling a little bit as I get older. A lot of times it's very difficult for me to line those pins up. And so if you're a person that is going to use your drum set and tear it down and set it up, aka you're going to gig with it, I would almost recommend that you do exactly what I've done here, and that is that you just leave the hi-hats, that 5-pin connector connected all the time, and you just carry this cable set with your hi-hats, as opposed to risking taking that thing apart and not being able to get it back together. And then you're kind of dead in the water for your gig, because then you won't have hi-hats. Last but not least, 5 things I hate about my F-Note drums. Honestly, I love the simple little module, and I love the simplicity of it. I think after having played it for the amount of time that I've played it for, though, I think that not having compression is probably more of a problem than I maybe initially gave it credit for. One of the things I love, and I'll cover this in 5 things I love about the drums, I do love the sound. I think that they did a very good job of using very natural sounding triggered acoustic drums, and I don't use any type of VSTs or software or anything like that. I just basically take the module sound straight, and I do add some of the reverb that's available in the module. Actually, I add a lot of the reverb that's available in the module. But I think the fact that there's no onboard compression available makes it more difficult to take this drum set and blend it with music, aka making drum covers. Now, I watch a lot of people use F-Note drums and do drum covers, and they sound absolutely phenomenal. I've got to think that those guys are using a more sophisticated recording process than what I am. I still use a very, very basic recording process using an iRig, and I basically run 1 1/4-inch out through an iRig straight into my iPad. The iPad captures the audio and the video. It's all synced up, it's all one thing, and then I go back into iMovie and edit that down and chop the ends off and maybe throw some, embed some photographs and stuff like that into the drum cover. But I think for the low level of sophistication of my recording process, if the module had more onboard capability, aka compression, then it would probably produce a better product, in my opinion. Now, to the credit, and no, not to the credit. I'll get into that in the next video. 5 things I love about my F-Note drums. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.